If you guys have the new iPhone 5 and have been noticing that you guys aren't getting the 8 to 10 hours that Apple has promised, I'm going to show you guys a couple tips and tricks to get the most out of your battery life on your new Apple device. Now the first thing I want to show you guys is how to get that percentage on your iPhone. Apple ships the iPhone 5 without the percentage, but there is a settings option in here that you could change to get that percentage. So if you go to settings and then you go down here to general and you go to usage and then you scroll down to the bottom here, you'll see that it says battery percentage. So if I turn it off, you'll see that the percentage goes away, and when I turn it on, it comes back on. So now I know that my battery's at 30%. Another good thing to note here is that under usage you could see how much you've used your iPhone 5 throughout the day on its last full charge. So since my last full charge, I've used my iPhone 5 for 4 hours and 41 minutes. That means that I've used it for internet, emails, for talking on the phone, checking my voicemail, whatever I've used all day today, I've used it for 4 hours and 41 minutes straight. And it's been on standby mode for 15 hours and 18 minutes. So just by doing the changes that I'm going to show you guys how to do today, I've made my iPhone 5 last a lot longer. Yesterday, before I made these changes, around this time, my battery was around 5%. Today, it's at 30%. I would recommend you guys doing some of these changes so that you could take advantage of the battery life on your iPhone 5. Now, the first thing I recommend you guys doing is setting your auto lock to a shorter time. And the way you guys do that is you go to settings, and then you're going to go to general, and then you're going to scroll down here to auto lock, and you have your choices here of how long you want the phone to stay on before it auto locks. If you choose the least amount of time, which is 1 minute, it would waste less battery until it auto locks itself. So if you have it down to 5 minutes, it's going to take 5 minutes until it actually turns itself off, or in standby mode, or whatever you want to call it. So I recommend doing it up to 1 minute. That's the shortest you could choose, and after 1 minute it'll actually turn off. Now the next thing I recommend doing is turning off your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth when you're not using them. These two things are very big battery drains. So if you go to settings, and then you could see right here that the second and third option under settings is your Wi-Fi and your Bluetooth. If you just turn these two things off when you're not using your Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, your battery will last a lot longer. So just make sure when you're not at home or you're not at work, wherever you use your Wi-Fi, just turn it off throughout the day. And if you don't use a Bluetooth headset, turn that off too. And your phone won't be constantly looking for a Wi-Fi or Bluetooth signal. Now the next thing I recommend you guys doing is dimming your screen. So if you go to settings and you scroll down here to brightness and wallpaper, you could actually choose how bright or how dim you want your screen. I usually keep it at 50 or a little bit lower than 50%, which is about the middle. So if you don't need it to be that bright, you could just go ahead and dim it a little bit, and it will save a lot of energy. Also, a good idea while you're in here is to turn on auto brightness, and it will detect how bright you need your iPhone to be in certain light situations. Now, if you're in an area where LTE isn't yet available, which is in a lot of places depending on what carrier you have, I would recommend turning off LTE if you're not using it or if you don't need it. To do that, you go into settings, and then you're going to go to general, and then you're going to go down to cellular. Go ahead and click on that, and you'll see right here where it says enable LTE. Go ahead and turn that off if you're not using LTE. And that'll save a lot of battery also, just because it's not looking for the LTE network that it's never going to find. Now another good way to save battery is to turn off your location services. So if you see right there that little triangle looking thing, if that's on, that means that your phone is using the GPS to locate you for whatever app you're using. So say you're using Maps, it's going to turn on. But there's other applications that we don't need the location services. So the way to choose which apps to enable location services and which ones to disable, you're going to have to go to settings, and you're going to go down to privacy, and you're going to go to location services. Here you could turn altogether the location services off or on. If you don't want nothing to be able to track you, then you could just go ahead and turn that off. Or if you want to choose certain applications that use location services, you could turn them off manually here. The main ones I recommend turning off are actually down here all the way at the bottom where it says System Services. Go ahead and click on that. And the ones I recommend to disable are Diagnostics and Usage, Location-Based iAds, and Setting Time Zone. Now all the other ones are up to you. You could pick and choose which ones you want to turn off. And you could also choose up here which applications you want to turn on and off. The next thing is notifications. You could assign which applications you want to notify you and which ones you don't want to. This will help save your battery life by having those apps not check every single time when they need to notify you. And the way you do that is you go to settings again, and you're going to go to notifications, and here you could choose which applications you want to notify you. So I would recommend going down here to the weather widget, and you could turn off the notification center for off for the weather widget if you don't use the weather. I would also recommend turning off the stock widget if you don't use that application. Not too many people use it, so turn it off. You don't need it on all day, draining your battery. Now, one big thing that does drain your battery is emails. So if you have the iPhone 5 set to push all the emails to your phone is always going to be constantly looking for new emails to push. I personally manually check. So whenever I want to check my emails, I just manually hit the refresh and it'll bring up everything. Instead of every 2 minutes or every 5 minutes or 15 minutes it's checking, I'll just check whenever I want to. But some of you guys have more important emails and want to have it automatically pushed. But there's different settings you could have here with the email. So just go to settings. Go down to mail, contacts, and calendars. And here you could actually choose which ones you want to push. So right here I have fetch new data off and push off. You see right there off. So this means that I have to manually check my emails. Now if you want the push setting on, I'd recommend doing hourly. So I have it at manually because I like to manually check. If you go under advanced, you could also choose which ones you want to fetch and which ones you want to push. So there you go. I hope these battery tips help you out and help you get a lot more out of your new iPhone 5. If these tips helped you out, give me a thumbs up down below. If you have any questions, comments, or even any other tips to give to everybody else, go ahead and leave them down below. And don't forget to visit informalgadget.com.